is one of my favorite Mark Jackson quotes. Father Time is undefeated. So, I was able to come in, 9 years into the league. And so I had the opportunity to kind of help those guys as they were younger coming into their own. But then also, it's rare, I think, in professional sports, you see a guy that's kind of still in his prime, kind of take a back seat or actually willingly move out the way for the up-and-coming guys. I mean, Steph, he didn't make it. It wasn't that hard to move out the way. Clay too, Draymond too. And so it was just a great, unique situation. It's actually funny that you start to celebrate it while it's kind of still going on. Those guys are still on the court, still playing very well. So actually, Amanda Chin and I were looking at some dates, and this date was perfect. I mean, it worked out perfectly with Clay being able to be here. I think my first time coming back to a game was Clay's return game with the busy schedule. So I think it's been beautiful though, because I haven't been able to, I don't know if you're ever really able to appreciate kind of what you've done because you're still in it. And my life right now is like, I'm still in it. It's even more busy. So hopefully get a chance to properly reflect, but just that competitive nature and spirit, and you never really get a chance to appreciate your accomplishments.
Along those lines, Andre, do you know what this team's legacy is? Have you gotten enough distance now to be able to look back and say, this is what the Golden State Warriors did, or who we were in terms of changing the league, the game?
I think in arguments, I have some pretty good arguments, but there's been a few times I've been able to think about some of the things we did. But I think the reason why we had so much success is because when we won the first one, it was almost like we have to do it again to prove that it wasn't a fluke. And then once you win the second one, you're like, all right, we got to do it again because nobody can touch us. And then we got to do it again because we're supposed to do it again. And that's just, I think that's just unique characteristics of great athletes, the ones who are never satisfied. And I think we just kind of, that was in the DNA of every individual, and it just kind of got bred into the fabric of the organization. I think from the top down, everybody just wanted to continue to win. I mean, you heard Joe talk about it throughout his times. People might have taken what he said, the right or wrong way, but he's just a competitive guy, and that's just his competitive spirit. You talk about Steve Kerr. I don't know how many championships he has because there's so many. Right? It's great. He's catching Phil Jackson already, right? Right? Who would have thought that would be the situation? Someone could catch Phil Jackson, and then you look at Bob Myers and the athletes he's had as an agent, and then you look at when he was here, and you look at what he's doing right now with the Commanders. Look at what he's doing with the group who has multiple franchises, and they want to be attached to winning folks, and we kind of had that built in. And Rick Waltz as well, Hall of Famer, created All-Star Weekend, and just globalizing the game of basketball. We just had winning was just all throughout everyone involved.
Hey, Andre. You played with some great guys, especially in Philly. What made it special that you knew coming in as a senior to the other guys, for each individual with Draymond, Steph, and Clay, that was different from what you were used to, that you know that you guys were going to find success?
Well, I think me being older, so me being able to have some type of impression on them being younger. Also, I think the backgrounds of everyone involved. I've talked about it before. Steph and Clay coming from NBA families. They weren't fazed by much. Like the glitz, the glamour, the lifestyle, all that comes with being a professional athlete. There's a lot of traps just waiting for you, and I'm speaking in terms of notoriety, the fame, Sports Center, what you're playing for. You're playing for statistics, all those things. It didn't faze them, and it kind of, fell into their personalities. They're not moved by most things professional athletes are moved by, and so they had a calmness to them, a carefree spirit to them, which makes them great. But on the other side of it, you need balance as well. So you need someone who's hungry. One of my favorite things about Draymond is he would always say, what's your why? Why do you play the game of basketball? And really shows up. You know, I always talked about how it shows up in the playoffs. And, you know, Draymond can say you can play for money, you can play for fame, you can play for different things, but if you don't actually love the game, then it's going to show up at the worst or best time, depending on what side of the ball you're on. And so he was a guy who was passionate, who loved the game of basketball. He had that fierce, you know, that fierce competitive nature, Draymond being Draymond. But if we don't have that, and you don't have that balance, and then I kind of fell in between in the middle of it all, you know, coming in playing 9 years into the NBA, you know, having individual success, some type of team success, playing on the Olympics, seeing that type of success, and then just kind of seeing how things were built with our roster. We had an opportunity to do something special, specifically with that first year we won a chip. And then you really get to see who folks are with how they respond to winning the championship. Like the work, like we upped our workload after we won it. And I think those are the things that are like really special that I can reflect on and say, you know, that's what really set us apart.